Okay, so we are about to start covering the necessary changes in the NetApp ONTAP driver for to implement the multiple subnet support. So I'm about to start going through the code. I will present what we need to do in order to implement the new interfaces. So let's start sharing the screen. Okay, so here we have the patch that will implement the multiple subnet support. Let's start with the driver multi SVM. Here we have just basically we have just adding the capability of the update support. We have two new interfaces that were included, the check and the update for share network allocations, as we had in core. So here we have the implementations. The NetApp driver usually it will always pass it through to a library. So we don't have a real implementation here. Let me go back. Okay, so if we go to the single SVM, they have the implementations here, but has not implemented the error. So this feature is only valid for the HSS true. So here we are just make sure that all the interfaces are implemented in both drivers, both HSS true and false. Okay, so let's go to the library. I will start with the setup servers. I think it will be easier. So with setup servers, what we have different here is that we used to have the network info as dictionary. So we had just one subnet per share server, and now we have this is network info is being retrieved as a list. So now we need to deal with the information for each subnet just for a single one. So we start changes. We start the changes with we need to report the backend details. So this information, what the driver reports to the backend details, basically the ports that we are using, or the allocations that we are doing. So basically here we just go through the network allocations, collect all ports, not just from the first subnet, and retrieve that as a parameter. And this is let me add here, yeah. And that's pretty much the same thing that we did in the past. Only difference is that now we are doing for a list of subnets, just not here, not just a single subnet. And here, we are getting the VLAN, but just for the first element, as we said, all interactions will have the same information. Let me see. We have in this setup server with lock, basically we get the VLAN just to create a lock here. It's not really necessary at this point. It's basically just to have a lock and to serialize stuff. So yeah, first thing is to validate the share network subnets. I've implemented this function to make sure we have the scenario we actually can support. We actually support. So here, what we have is a function that will validate if we are in the same network segment. Of course, for example, in case we support, I would add every configuration would need to validate here. But the only thing that our driver will not be able to support is having different segmentation IDs. So what we do here is to go through the network info, the list of subnets, and check off them to see if they are in the same network segment. So If they are all in the same network segment, if they are not in the same all in the same network segment, we are going to provide the error message, a network bad configuration exception, and we'll raise this exception to the manager. Up to this point, any comments? Am I going too fast?
Não fixou.
Okay. Okay, so just a sec. Okay, so we do this validation before before doing the setup server. So we check if the configuration is it's like a valid. Once we do that, like then we get like the server name is the same thing that's as we have here. Yeah, then the most important thing here is that we call the create server. I needed to make a few changes to the create server as well. Here we have a line that I've added and I will remove. Sorry for that, folks. You are going to see one or two of those, but I will remove them. But yeah, but basically this function will create the server in the ONTAP like a look already in the ONTAP domain. So okay, so what we did here, what we have here is like we are getting the VLAN from the network information from the first index. As I said, like we have like a validation to make sure that all the subnets are in the same segmentation, and in case they are not, we are going to raise it to the manager. We are not going to continue the operation. So at this point, the validation already occurred, so I can safely get the VLAN from the first network subnet. So I get the VLAN, then I create the IP space for that. Like it's all exactly the same code, just I create IP space will look for will like get the information from one subnet. Like it needs information like the VLAN and port to make it happen. So on information that we have we need here is the VLAN information. So to avoid like changing the function, I just like passing the first element of the network inf, and this should be have the same behavior as before. Okay, then we have there is the possibility of like this one this shared server like we create for as a DP destination. So when we have that, the only thing that we need to do is to configure like broadcast domains and ports. So there's no need for creating interfaces, nothing like that. So the code is much more simpler here. So we are just like going going through the same process and passing the network info. It will also use the VLAN configuration to set up the ports and also the broadcast domain. So here we have exactly the same domain, the same, just because we have the same VLAN segment. In case we had like a support for multiple multiple network segments, then all those functions would need to be changed. Like but this is something that we don't want to cover right now. The idea is to really have like options like providing multiple interfaces in the same network segment. So there's no, we are not like aiming to provide something different right now. So this should be this is pretty simple. The security services we get here comes from the first element of the network information as well. Then we have like an important call here that is the setup network for the server. It's like it's the function that will create the interfaces in the ONTAP side and we'll do all the necessary configuration. So we changed this function a bit. It's going to receive the list of subnets, the list of network info. And it's going to, what's different here is that it's going to iterate from for this list of network info instead of just like creating based on the allocation. So now what we have here is a for. We go through all the network informations. For each network information, we create the vServer lifts. So we start creating vServer lifts, the vServer interfaces for it. And I made a few changes. I would like to just show you briefly and see if you guys like agree with the solution. But we had a scenario before that, like we when we were creating the server lifts, we usually create the VLAN ports and everything for each lift. So we had a scenario like for each lift, we try to create the VLAN port. We try to ensure that the port is the same broadcast domain, and this was like this validation and this like APIs calls were done like for every allocation. So we basically we have done like suppose you have like a 2-node cluster, then you have 2 allocations at least, then you would need to like you would try to first create the VLAN port. It would create at the first time, then you had the second allocation would come in the iteration, and we would like just to like uh, send another create operation that we already know that is not necessary. And now we have another complication because now it's like it's the number of locations times the number of subnets we have. So if we have like a big cluster with like a multiple subnets, we are going to do like a lots of unnecessary API calls. So what I have done here is to set up the ports and broadcast domain first. So I set up like all the necessary ports in all nodes, and create the VLAN configuration in all of them, put that port in the correct broadcast domain, and create in the end just a dictionary to have this mapping of like a what is the port that should be used for each of the nodes. So so basically I have extracted part of the code that we had on the create with server lifts, and I'm like creating ports and broadcast domains before starting the interface creation. I believe this will is just is a small optimization. I'm just saving like I'm saving a few API commands. I feel like VLAN creates and like broadcast create, broadcast add. So maybe like I'm saving kind of like three operations per allocation per subnet. So yeah, it's basically like a small optimization, but not like a without this code would work in the same way. So what else? Yeah, then for each network info, we start creating the vServer lifts. If we go to create the vServer lifts, we have let me see the yeah, I would okay. So for each like this function is to create the interfaces. In this case, like we can pass the ports, the home ports, the on tap ports as a parameter. Like we can pre-configure the home ports and it will use it instead of like trying to set up the ports. So here we have like we use here to get the nodes as well. Like then we get the list of nodes. We have this part here where we like get the information necessary for creating the leaf, and finally we create the leaf passing the leaf home port. So like maybe I have like over engineering things here in the case that like instead of like just removing the the creation of the ports away from the 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 creation of the leaf, I decided to keep that way but add an option. So like if you pass the port, the function would use the port. If you don't pass the port, the function that creates the interface will how can I say, the function will try to create the port, ensure the broadcast domain, do this kind of stuff like individually for each leaf, for each interface. So any question to this point? I'm kind of worried about time, so maybe I'm rushing stuff. I don't know, like guys,
No,
if
that
I'm
that optimization is fine, but I was wondering, like, you're ever gonna have just one admin left, right? One
yes,
admin
this is a problem.
network information.
Yes. We were talking about that like tomorrow morning. Yes, that's a problem. We should have like this information here because we just have on. So this should be moved to. Yes, this is a bug. I was like I was like going to mention that. Yeah, but you are correct. Like we have just one admin list, so we shouldn't have like been trying to create it per subnet per network allocation. So here we have the worst scenario for that. So yeah, in this case, like it passed in my tests because we have like a scenario, we have a situation here inside this function. We have like a check that sees if the admin leaf was already created. So if it was, like, it's just ignored. So the like this kind of like omit the problem at when I made I did the tests. But yeah, I could like optimize this code by moving this away from the server lives creating. This should be totally separate, can be done just for the first subnet. And yeah, but that's a bug. Yeah. Okay, so for the create leaf part, yeah, then moving for, we have like I made the changes here for the passing the port and everything here to the admin leaf, but basically this could be simpler, like I could have like called it separately instead of by subnet, make it simpler. I will do that. I will make the change. So what else? Then we have the create lift part. Create lift part. I changed it a bit just to like create ports and broadcast only if there is not a leaf port passed by parameter. So if we have the ports already set up, we just pass it by parameter, and the create leaf will just try to create based on port configuration. If not, it will try to configure the port and then create the network interface. So yeah, this function is kind of doing two things based on like it's going to do one additional thing in case like the ports are not passed by parameter. It will try to like make changes to create the port if it's not like if it's not passed. Maybe I could just have like took this creation out of the function and leave it like and like totally remove this part, like so in order to create the leaf you would like need to always um, pre-configure the home port. This would be an option. Don't know, guys, if you guys think that it would be the best thing to do. I decided to keep both, just to like keep the same behavior plus including a new one. Not sure if I took the best approach here. So I would like if you can just take a look at the review and see if you guys think that maybe it's too much, should be moved away from the great leaf. Like maybe this code shouldn't be here anymore. Don't know what you guys like. Maybe Gautam, Carlos, what you guys think?
Now you're not using it right now, but you're trying to set it up for future proofing. So
Yeah, that's the kind of that was I thought at that time like this can be used later for like suppose you need to create just a single leaf And instead of like needing to set up, make all the node configure the part configuration, just you just call the create lif, and it's going to set up the port and broadcast domain. And yeah, this is an option. It's something that I have included here, but not like a not really important for the flow.
I'm okay with this. The only problem we have when we are like adding code that we're not using is that we need to create unit tests and cover, but it's just 3 lines. It's like it's not complex, so
Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's fine.
I've created the unit test for them. So like like if I had like removed that, would be easier for me because the unit test I would like save a few lines of unit tests. But yeah,
Yeah, it's fine if it's already coded. So it's you don't need. If
yeah.
I would code this, I
Oh,
would prefer
now I
avoid
get the
this.
intention. I thought you were trying to be helpful to some future programmer. You were just lazy to
No,
remove unit tests.
no, I'm just avoiding code unit test. I say, okay, if no one is using this, I don't want to add this behavior. So I need to cover this. Like, and if you in the future someone wants to have this behavior, it's up to the future guy to add this code and also add the coverage. So, but if you already did this, so it's fine.
Yeah,
It's
and
better.
it's already covered. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, if like if you guys would like to discuss that in details, we can we can discuss it offline. But yeah, but that basically is like a code that's not being really used. This is like kind of something that I should have I shouldn't be doing, but yeah, was. Okay, then here we have like the setup network for destination server. This is for migration. For migration, the only information that we need is the VLAN. So I'm getting for the new network net allocation. That is basically the network info. I'm getting the segmentation ID, and we tested the integration. It's working. The migration, it's working. What else? Yeah, and it's working because it will also call the same function that set up a network server, and yeah. So basically, all the operations that need to set up like network interfaces, they will all go through the setup network, and so we have like kind of like standard behavior in our drive. Okay, what else? Yeah, then we have the new locations here, the new interfaces. The check first. Check should be pretty simple. So we start looking for, we get the subnets from away from the current network location, and get the segmentation ID. We have this like we separate we create a list of network segments here, and this is basically because we want to we the validate share network subnets will receive this will check this list of uh, uh, list of network segments. The only information that the validate share network subnet will use is the segmentation ID. So I basically created a dictionary with this information, and I'm passing to the validate share network subnet. And this function is responsible only for checking if they are all in the same VLAN segment. And so I like make this for just to get all the create a dictionary with the segmentation ID in the network info format and pass it to the validate. Also, I included a validation of the network type. So here we check if we support the current validation, the current network type. If it's like we only support two types, that is basically FAT and VLANs. What else? Yeah, and in case like both functions will raise exception in case they fail. So in case they say they failed, uh, I will be raising an exception here. No, sorry, I catch the exception, and set the is valid configuration, because like this function is expected to return true or false, never to, we shouldn't like have a fail in this function. So basically I look for exceptions, like in case I got one, I set the is valid configuration to false and return it as the output of the function. So in case network type is valid and network subnets is valid, we return true. If we got any exception from those functions, then we are going to return a false here. Yes, and finally we have the, just a sec, we have the update shared server network allocations. For the shared server network allocations, we get like a few information from the current and new network allocations. What is important to mention here is that like we call the setup network for server. So the setup network for server is the same used in inside the migration, the setup with server when the SVM is created. So we have just this function that will always create the interfaces and set up the all the network stuff based on the it's based on the on the interface information. So yes, let me see what else we have. Like a, yeah, there's only difference here. Like let me see if I have something else to yeah, it's going like the setup network for the servers is always creating new networks. So this function will never like reset everything like this delete interfaces and start everything again. So here I'm just adding a single the new subnet as a parameter. Like I created here I set the network allocations inside this dictionary and pass to the setup network for the server, and it's going to include this single subnet to to the uh, the list of interfaces in ONTAP. What else? There's the possibility of something fails, then there is a raise here. As Felipe said, I filled the detailed data with the updates, even if like I got a fail. So later, Felipe, the manager, will get this information from the exception and update the shares. And finally, I have a function to update the export locations. Now, we this function is like it's quite simple. It's basically setting it's server. Sorry, we have the update export location here. Yeah. So this function is going through all the share instances. Here, the share instances we have are the ones in the same are the ones for that same AZ. So like we don't need to we have the exactly like instance we need uh, to update. So let me see if there's something I would like to cover. No. Let's see. Yeah. Then we get the export addresses with metadata. This function is quite simple. It will list the interfaces. See, yeah, it's hidden somewhere. But this function is basically like we use the same function in the setup server, the server, and basically it get all the interfaces and created the list of export locations by interfacing ONTAP. So here we are already using ONTAP data, ONTAP the created the lifts created in ONTAP to set up the export addresses. Then we build this dictionary because it's like that we there is like a standard that must be used, a format to be used, and yeah, and finally we set the export location to to be returned. Yeah, I think that's pretty... Guys, like, do you have any questions until this point? I think like I'm the most important part I already covered. I'm trying to make like we are just out of time. I tried to like I was thinking I would need like 15 minutes, but like yeah, I just uh yeah. So first, like, do you have any questions? Something like any specific point you would like to cover? I can just go back and we can take a look. No.
No, none from me. Just that if you're, is there any other changes that this is going to be conflicting with? Did you check that?
Uh,
From
if
the app or core part?
For both, actually. So for the core part, you're going to have microversion conflicts.
Yeah, exactly. No, I don't think so. Like only conflicts will be with like Felipe's with the core patch, because in the core patch we made a change to the NetApp driver to get the first element of the network info list. And so we are kind of here. What we have is like we are cherry picking from on top of like Felipe's patch, but there is no other merge conflict involved.
And you're able to run these Tempest tests that you've submitted against your driver.
Yes, I think Felipe, can you like give a brief description of like the tests, the Tempest test you created? What is like
I think
what?
Andre is the best one to explain
Yeah,
this.
yeah, because he worked on like he created a patch with the new tests, and he made sure that all our patches were passing. So yeah, we will definitely provide more info than I. So
Okay, so yeah. So if you go to the Tempest tests, our CI is already testing the new changes with the new Tempest as well. So yesterday, I think we got a +1 from our CI already running with the new Tempest tests. I have created 2 new tests to cover the share creation with multiple subnets and also with the network allocation update. I also added 2 tests in the same way for the share replica creation and also for the share group creation, that are operations that triggers the share server creation as well. The container driver and also the dummy driver is passing with the new Tempest and also with the bump version of the API. So I think that's it. If you have any more question, I can try to solve it.
No, while I have you here, since I'm looking at the logs, there are a couple of things that used to be there that are not there anymore. The Tempest log, the Tempest conf file, I think, and the testar output, that the subunit output that we parse into a HTML file. I don't know
If you go to the logs, Fernando, yeah, scroll down, please. We have another page. If you go down, please.
oh, I see. It goes into page 2.
The page 2 will have the Tempest
yes,
files, I suppose. Yeah,
I see.
it
Thanks.
is.
yeah, we needed to make this change like
Yeah.
in a hurry. We got like our log server totally blocked and moved. We need to move stuff, so you guys will see our logs a bit different. Like we promised that we will make this better, the visualization better. It's just a question that like we would like to provide the logs, but like we needed to make a few changes in like in a few days to make that happen, to make it working again. But
No
I
problem.
believe, yes, but
Yep.
I believe that all the information is still like still here.
Yeah, I suppose only the test summary, you know, the test summary. Even in the oldest log, we are not generating anymore. I don't know why. I didn't stop to investigate it. But
Okay.
the console and also the tempest conf and the tempest log, it's all there.
Okay, so we have a one file that's missing, right? We have the
Yeah,
summary.
and that's
Yeah,
nice to have. Makes things easier in case you're looking at a failure and want to
yeah,
just, you know, zoom onto that part kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to investigate and
Yeah,
get
no problem.
this.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, I guess we can take a look at these tests and at the container driver through code reviews first. Or did you plan to talk about the container driver
yeah.
here or another time?
We are 6 minutes late. So if you guys like like probably like I probably it's going to take more like 30 minutes more or so, maybe a bit less, but so yes, like if you guys would like to continue, that's okay. We can present the container driver. Our option would be to like a review in Garrett the patch offline, and in case we start to getting many like many things to align and to discuss, we could create a like do a quick call just with the points we need to discuss.
Yeah,
Don't know.
that makes sense. And definitely don't want to impose because you probably already have crossed the meeting fatigue
Mhm.
line over here. So yeah, let's probably do that. Let's get on Garrett. What do you think? And come back.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, sounds good.
Probably Eduardo was all prepared for, you know, answering questions.
Yeah, man, I'm so disappointed. No problem. Yeah, that sounds fine. Yeah. Any questions, we can address them offline, Garrett.
Awesome.
Okay, folks. So I think that's it. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you for the feedback. It's like it's very important to us. Very like it helps like a lot. And we already have like some action items to cover to start like working right now. Felipe have some. I'm also have like some stuff to do. Like the admin list that must be changed. And yes, I guess that's it for this call. Any questions, anything like you would like to cover? Otherwise, I will stop sharing. Stop recording. Nope. Okay, so I'm stop the recording. Thank you very much, folks. See you in the Manila channel.